Hey, this is Tom from Minneapolis, and you're watching Takeover TV.
What is up, friends? Takeover peeps, random person coming across this video. However you got here, I'm happy to have you. We're back with another weekly wrap up. The more I think about it, this guy was catching my eye. I'm sorry. We need to come up with a name for this guy, but I don't want it to be like Bob or like Fred. Like I want like a. Those are fine names. I want to come up with a unique name for him. If you have a suggestion, drop it in the comments. Boy, are we in exciting times. The NBA playoffs are on fire. We're deep in it, and the NFL draft happens this week. We have been counting down. We've been talking about it. We've been speculating, all sorts of things, and a huge transaction happened that we've been waiting for that I'll get into later in the video. You may have noticed that there was not a weekly wrap up last week on here. That's because I'm trying to get into the mold of having a more consistent schedule for my release days. So I'm going to have 2 videos a week coming out on specific days, and it just helped me recalibrate by not having one last week. So I will be on that schedule now going forward. It's been a good week over here. My family just got a second car, actually for the first time ever in my marriage, which we got married in 2010, so it's been a long time. We've never had a second car. We just haven't needed one. When we lived in Minneapolis, it was such a walkable city, and with me walking or working from home, it just didn't make sense to have one. It wasn't necessary. But now living in Florida, it's become a necessity. I went to Epcot for my first time ever this past weekend. It was super fun. Walked around, checked out all of the country sections, ate delicious food, had delicious drinks, went on rides, all the things you're supposed to do. One of my favorite sections, honestly, was the Japanese store there. There were just so many snacks and collectibles that I wanted so badly to go home with. I also got to play basketball for the first time since moving here. I found a group of guys. We played some 3-on-3 outdoors on a Saturday morning, so it was very hot. It was a lot of fun. We did our own best of 5 series. Your boys' team won. Good times. And no injuries for anyone, which is a win in and of itself. Question of the day. What was your favorite birthday party in memory? I remember one that really stands out for me. I don't remember exactly what age I was, but I remember that it was in middle school. It was the height of Pokemon fame. Well, Pokemon's still very famous, but at that time it was like the highest point of Pokemon craze. My friends came over, we went to Blockbuster, we rented a Pokemon VHS, which if you remember those, okay, you know how like we binge stuff now on streaming services? Like you could just fire up Netflix and watch through the entire seasons of Pokemon. We got a VHS, which meant there were 2 episodes on there. So I'm pretty sure we watched it twice in a row. And I remember things like my cake being super delicious and homemade. We played air hockey and foosball down in my parents' basement, and it was a sleepover. I remember getting those jungle packs of Pokemon cards, which is really cool. Imagine if I hadn't opened them and just kept them now to this day so that I could sell them. But you know what? That's not the fun thing to do. I cracked those babies open, and I still remember some of the cards that I got in there. I still have them actually on a shelf right over there. And in the morning we had breakfast, and then we all went across the street to the park. There's a huge open field, and we played a huge game of touch football with my dad at all-time QB. That was one of the highlights every year of my birthday growing up. What was yours? What comes to memory? Do you have one that stands out to you? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear it. We have got some NFL news that we've been waiting for forever on the Takeover TV channel. Rodgers has a new team. Our boy. I like how I've like made him like my guy, but he's really not. We've just talked about him more than anyone else on this channel. Aaron Rodgers is officially headed to the New York Jets, which we thought was the case all along. The full deal is that the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, the 15th overall pick, and a 5th round pick. The Packers get number 13 overall, a 2nd round pick, a 6th round pick, and a conditional 2024 2nd round pick that can become a 1st round pick if Rodgers plays at least 65% of the plays for the New York Jets, which if they're utilizing him and starting him, that's going to be the case. It's not sports card news, but I got some cool sports card things that I saw. Instagram user Pac-Man Cards pulled a really cool card. I personally love it when players autograph cards and put their own flair on it. Sometimes they might write a little inscription even if they're not asked to. I think that stuff is really fun and makes things extra collectible. It also just shows their sense of humor, and it makes that type of player the kind of player that I want to watch or at least just pull for. One card in past that comes to mind is Benny Montgomery's Benny and the Jets inscription, if you've never seen that. But in this card's case, rookie Jake LaRavia, if I wrote that down right, inscribed the words eBay 1 of 1 question mark next to his autograph, which is a huge inside joke in the collecting community and hobby, so don't feel bad if you don't get it, but also it's kind of funny that he was directing that straight towards the people that would be opening these packs of cards. If you know, you know. Continuing the interesting autograph inscription stories, Swish Breaks pulled a very interesting card that they noticed was just a little bit off with the autograph. A 1 of 1 NFL Shield patch autograph of Justin Herbert was pulled, but Justin Herbert did not sign it. It was actually signed by Derek Carr. Not only that, but it had an inscription of a score in which the Raiders had beaten the Chargers. It put the exact score on it. How the heck did this happen? It turns out that, according to Derek Carr himself, he received the card by mistake, along with other cards he was supposed to sign that were actually his own. He said he decided to have some fun with it, and that he signed it to make whoever opened it laugh. I personally think this is hilarious. What would you do if you pulled this? Would you be upset? Would you be disappointed that's not a Justin Herbert autograph? I feel like this makes it all the more collectible, all the more entertaining, all the more fun. It's definitely a unique item. It's almost like a 1 of 1 within the fact that it's a 1 of 1. In video game talk, I've been on the Nintendo Switch a lot lately, specifically the N64 expansion section. I think it's so rad, so fun. I'm personally loving right now playing 2 games that I never experienced before as a kid. Those being Pokemon Puzzle League, which is essentially Tetris done in a slightly different form with a Pokemon narrative added to it, and the other one being Pilot Wing 64. Now, Pilot Wing 64 is an interesting one. It was originally one of the first 2 launch titles attached to the Nintendo 64, the other one being Super Mario 64. And honestly, Pilot Wing 64 was released to just show the capabilities of what the Nintendo 64 brought compared to its 4 consoles, if I can say that. You just take that part out. I don't even know. 4 consoles? Or I actually kind of like that. Probably not a word. Anyways, it was made to show the graphic capabilities that the Nintendo 64 presented. What you end up doing in the game is you try to earn your pilot license, or these medals and whatnot, doing various aerial tasks and missions. Things like using a jetpack or a hang glider to complete these little games. The game can be a little bit infuriating at times until you get the hang of it, but honestly, it's like a really calming game to play, and I really like that. And the soundtrack is a work of art, which probably makes you think that I would choose this as my Stuff That Slaps segment, but you'd be wrong. Now it's time for Stuff That Slaps. Rain. I love rain. I think it's such a peaceful thing. I love the smell it brings up as it hits the grass and plants and flowers. I love the sound of it. It's so peaceful, calming, and relaxing to me. It honestly makes my day better. Not that I don't love sunshine. I love sunshine. But I also just love storms. There's like an energy behind it that I just adore. A morning rain will brighten my day, and night rain will make it so cozy to fall asleep to. I love when it creates puddles and then there's reflections you can see in them. Plus, we literally need rain to have things grow and to live. So there you go. Rain, certified slapper. Now it's time for some music picks this week. I'm going to go with my first one. It's almost the 20-year anniversary of a cinematic great. Yes, I'm talking about the Lizzie McGuire movie. And because of that, I'm going to talk about another great aspect, which is the soundtrack. If you want to interject some energy into your day, if you're feeling a little like you're run down, you need to get going or whatever, just turn this thing on. I'm not kidding. You've got classics like Dean Martin's On an Evening in Roma. You've got the easily singable Volare. You've got Hilary Duff bangers on there like Why Not? And What Dreams Are Made Of, which will immediately get caught in your head. And a very personal favorite of mine is RuPaul's Supermodel, which is just a dancey song. It makes me think of like being in a mall in the 90s, walking past a clothing store, like probably Abercrombie. I don't know. There's just something about it. It just sounds like mall music. It's like dancey. I love it. It just makes me feel good. My second pick is by a band called Bad Omens. It's their album, The Death of Peace of Mind. This is just a catchy but heavy but radio-friendly album all the way through. It's an album that brings in elements of metalcore, industrial, alternative rock, hard rock. It's all over the place, but it's all very cohesive at the same time. This band's really interesting too. I saw them open maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, something like that, for Under Oath. And you could just tell that they just had something going for them. You could tell that they were on the brink of something big. And they have only been blowing up from there. I did start hearing them on the radio. They've gone on big tours. They had their first ever headlining tour, which was really cool for them. This album as a whole is just one to just start playing and listen all the way through, in my mind, to get the experience. But if you want to just dabble a little bit, I got a few songs for you to go off of. I would start with the song Concrete Jungle. Then I would try the song Just Pretend. And then I would go to the song The Death of Peace of Mind, as the title of the whole album is. This one is interesting because it dabbles more in the electronics. And then on the verses, the lead singer actually sounds a lot more like The Weeknd, which I thought was really interesting. And that's actually how they opened the show I was at. I remember he was wearing one black glove, shout out Michael Jackson. And he was just singing. It felt out of place at first because I was like, okay, these other bands are like harder rock, and then here's this band up here, and I loved it. He had a great voice, it was amazing. Then I realized later on as songs go on, they get heavier, they switch back to it or whatever. This lead singer, if you've listened to their other albums in the past, which I've now gone back to, you can hear just how hard this guy has been working on his voice range and how good he's gotten, and it's really cool. Anyways, these are my music picks for the week. Thank you for hanging out so much, guys. I'm excited to drop these videos on a more scheduled thing. I've got some great ideas for things going forward, and I'm excited to have you along for the ride and experience. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you like about this video, what you want to see more of. Answer a question of the day in the comments. See you later. Peace and love.